hold on to your dream. Hold on to your dream. Don't give up on your lofty dream.
This is such a pleasant environment, and it's so good to be here with you on Open Forum with Citizen MKO. Hi, I'm Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor, productivity advocate, reformer, president and founder of Open Forum. Open Forum is about people, issues, ideas, and solutions. And as we say, wherever this flag is flown, we take care of our own. On this edition of this podcast, we are having a solid mineral expert. He's going to tell us a little about himself, and we will intentionally ask him some questions that will illuminate the minds of citizens on the solid mineral sector of Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. Let's welcome our guest on this podcast. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, MKO. It's a pleasure to be with you this
Thank you.
afternoon.
Yeah. Can you just very briefly tell us who you are, your level of expertise in the solid mineral sector?
Thank you very much once again. My name is Payo Sebong. I am an engineer by profession. I'm a metallurgical engineer and also a solid mineral consultant here in Nigeria. Well, we've been on this issue for quite a long time, and I think it is high time we started telling Nigerians what quality, quantity, and location implications, the potentials of solid minerals that can revolutionize the economy of Nigeria within a jiffy.
Thank you very much. We are, like I said, we're going to have a conversation of consequence, and we want to be very specific on the issues we intend to address. First of all, Nigeria is 85, almost more than that percent dependent on oil and maybe a bit of gas, and solid minerals happens to be something that falls in the range where we hear much more talk about illegal mining here and there. So, in your uh, field of specialty, what will you say is the difference between the oil and gas sector and the solid mineral sector?
Professionally, um, there is nothing like solid mineral. We all have their own mineral resources because
That is the oil and gas and the other. Okay.
at any particular condition, you can have these mineral resources in solid form, in liquid form, and in gaseous form. You know, but well, for the purpose and the benefit of an ordinary person, we sectionalize it into the solid mineral and the oil and gas. Nigeria is rich in mineral resources. That we know. Very rich in mineral resources. But the attention of the government in Nigeria has been on oil and gas, petroleum, for quite a long time, and it's like the policy of the government revolves around it, and it is strictly regulated. The oil and gas industry is strictly regulated.
Now, let's talk about that strict regulation and why the federal government of Nigeria is much more concerned about oil and gas. Is it that we do not have enough or sufficient quantities of these other minerals that are in solid forms that can address our revenue needs?
No, we do have, and the government knows it, but it all started in the 70s during the oil boom, and it was the world over. You know, before the oil boom came, Nigeria was surviving on so many other resources. If you remember, the tin mine in Jos, the bauxite, the columbite, all over.
And the coal.
Yeah, and the coal mines in Enugu. Those were the things that were giving the federal government or the Nigerian government resources. But with the discovery of oil, it's like a revolution came, and it was all over the world. And the world was so dependent on oil, still dependent on oil nowadays. And so the attention of the federal government shifted from every other resources, even including agricultural product, which we know, to oil and gas. And it was like, okay, since we have this in the southern part of Nigeria, every other region of the country seemed to abandon what they were doing before and focus on oil and gas. And, so there was a neglect. If you go to Jos, there are so many abandoned mines. Go to Taraba State, abandoned mines, so many abandoned places like that. And the attention was all on oil and gas. And that has persisted up till now. It is now that the present government is trying to bring back some activities in the solid mineral industry. I can give it to them. The Federal Minister of Solid Mineral is really doing a lot to focus attention on the mineral resources, on the solid mineral that we have in Nigeria.
Talking about focusing resources on the solid mineral sector, I earlier mentioned something about illegal mining. That should be of interest. And there's a video which we watch, and we can see it on the screen right now, where it's said to be an illegal mining site
Yes.
with people in their hundreds, with the environment completely degraded. And could somebody actually say, with this level of activity in illegal mining, if it's actually illegal mining, because off camera you mentioned something that I'm sure we're going to touch here now. Looking at the video, what would you say is happening at that very site, said to be somewhere in Zamfara State?
Yeah, as I said before, in an environment that there is no regulation, there is definitely bound to be chaos. And there are smart people who take advantage of such chaos in order to benefit themselves. I said it here before, oil and gas is so regulated. That cannot happen in the oil and gas sector.
So how regulated is the solid mineral sector?
It wasn't that much regulated in the past. As I'm saying, it is now that the Federal Minister of solid mineral is trying to bring some sanity into that industry. So it's an all-commerce affair. I have seen that video, and you would believe that it's an ancient Egyptian site, but it is in Zamfara State. And our elite, they have mastered the art of weaponizing poverty. All those people that you see digging the earth, carrying them on their head and going up and down, sieving through those mud and sand, they are all poor people. And what are they looking for? Gold. And when they find this gold, they are given peanuts. In fact, they are just paid. They are manually paid to do that. The people that are really behind, these activities, you heard what Adams Oshomole said.
There is no question in my view, and I come from an area where you have, like you rightly said, sir, there is hardly any part of Nigeria where you don't have solid minerals, even in the south. But what I observe, whereas the federal government is ruthless with people who are doing illegal oil buckling, and they deploy JTF to deal with those involved in illegal buckling. When it comes to illegal mining of solid minerals, the federal government changes. It's like using different standards. And I'm very angry about that. Because if we have to fight, deploy army, even to kill, for anyone who is involved in illegal buckling of oil, and you deploy JTF, a combination of army, police, air force, everybody, why are we allowing illegal mining in many parts of the country that is going on? And they are being mined by retired generals, and we know them. Yes, we know them. Nobody can pretend he doesn't know them. I did a letter to retire former President Buhari, because somebody I sent to go and conduct a primary somewhere reported back to me, a retired general of Northern Extraction, told me that, look, Adams, you are worried about the challenge of conducting primaries in Zamfara. The challenge he sees there is far more than that. And if it's not dealt with, Nigeria will not know peace in parts of the country. And this go all the way through the all to Kaduna. And it up to, yeah, correct. And he told me that those involved in this illegal mining, they use choppers. They procure arms exactly the same way as our military were doing in the South. They give them arms. They use choppers to come and cut away the gold. And they take them out of this country and make billions of US dollars. And the federal government is not doing what it should be doing. I took this letter to the former president when I was national chairman of APC. And I said, call the general to give you more brief. In fact, what is happening, or what subsequently happened in that part of the country, was exactly what the general told me was going to happen. Because these guys have been weaponized by the illegal big men who deploy them, secure territories, and the weapon is meant to protect the Chinese and other foreigners who they actually employ to carry out the mining. And on occasion, they use the same weapon to carry out banditry, kidnapping, and all of the terrible things that are going on. Chief of Committee Chairman of Defense Staff, tell the defense I said so. That some retired military officers, army officers are involved in it. The day we can't tell the truth, this country cannot flourish. We can't change our, when it affects our people, we are at our best. We talk strong. Some other people appear to be above the law. That is what is going on with solid mineral. It is not that we don't know where it is. We have a whole survey of where we have what across the length and breadth of Nigeria. We also know, everybody complaining about certain people from certain nationalities. How they got here, even as we are talking now, they are doing those illegal mining. And those guys are getting richer when Nigeria State is getting poorer. But we carry the consequences of banditry, kidnapping, and that which these on illegal armed men, which they equip. Sir, who can afford to buy a chopper to land in an illegal mining site, cut away gold, return to Sediti, and then on the way to airport, bam, take them out of the country? This is happening. So I agree with you, but my position is that we shouldn't, as senators, be lamenting. As senators, we should fix the problem. We should tell the executive, you must deploy exactly the same force that you deploy against illegal oil bunkering. That same force should be deployed to deal with criminals who are money. When I say criminal, it can be a retired general, it can be a retired permanent secretary, it can be a retired trade unionist or a retired labor leader. Whoever is involved, they should be dealt with. Let Nigeria see that we are not condoning this. We are not lamenting what is going on. When you have a country of people who are above the law because they are supposed to have served the country, and they have retired, and now they become the real barons. So I agree with you that the solid sector, and I'm happy with the word made by Baba that oil was discovered by accident. What they were looking for was solid mineral.
Yes. There are powerful people in this country who are behind these activities. It has been discovered that there is gold and other minerals, maybe rare earth metals and all those, very strategic, sometimes very security, conscious elements that, are in this site. And people go there and mine because the attention of the government is not there fully like it is on oil and gas in the South. So people do whatever they like. They take anything from that site and take it out of the country, sell and pocket the money and nothing happens. But such does not happen in the South.
We understand that there is Nigerian gold market somewhere in Dubai. We hear that. I don't know how far that is true. And we have also seen a situation where a governor, maybe governors differently, have visited the president, like President Buhari was visited by, I think, former Governor Matawale. I think we have the picture there on the screen. And our present president must have been visited with gold bars as gift. And now the question is, if the solid mineral sector requires approvals for mining, and we hear so much talk about illegal mining activities going on, the gold bars, like we can see on the screen right now, have been presented to a sitting president. How do we juxtapose that, bearing in mind that the oil sector is regulated, the solid mineral sector is regulated? Why is it that it's possible for some persons to have access to this thing and even bring it as a gift to the president of the country without questions being asked?
Well, some of your questions probably may be directed to lawyers who know the nitty-gritty of laws governing these sort of mineral resources. But any person would know that the oil and gas sector is so strictly regulated that even when you are given an oil mining license and then you drill, you do not have the right of ownership of the product, sole ownership of the product that comes out of your activity. That is, the petroleum that comes out, it still belongs to the government because it is so regulated in such a way that the product are sold to some, particular vendors, and the proceeds of it goes to the purse of the federal government, and accounts are being given, so that at the end of the day, the whole federation will go to Abuja and share from the proceeds of this, oil and gas or the oil, the petroleum. But that's not the case in solid mineral.
What is the case in solid
mineral? Once you obtain a mining license, you go and take possession of your site. Once you move to the site, the laws are very relaxed. The product of your mining activity there belongs to you. You have the ownership of whatever, whether it is gold, it is silver, it whatsoever, you have the ownership. That's why people can export, whatever you mine from the ground. You can, even if it is gold, yes, you can take it. The law does not. I don't think there is any law that restricts you from doing that. And that's why these people who are involved, like probably the governors that you are talking about, will have the right to take the gold that they mine from the soil of wherever they come from and then bring it to the president and present it as if it is their own personal property. And I think the law allows that. So we have to look into the great divide between the oil and gas ownership and then the solid mineral ownership. Until that is done, this chaos will still continue.
This very statement by Engineer Pius Ebong is bound to elicit interest in the populace. We've just heard that licensing for mining gives the person the right to possess whatsoever is able to bring out of the earth.
And he only pays royalty.
And he pays royalty.
Only royalty to the
Whereas in the oil and gas sector, everything is supposed to be owned by the federal government. And I'm going to take him to task on this because we know that the oil prospecting companies are having joint venture partnerships with the governments and all of that. And as we get to know, there are no ways of determining how much oils are actually drilled and what returns, what royalties, or what share goes back to the federal government. It's supposed to own everything. What do you have to say about how the oil sector, the crude oil extraction, and whatsoever is tendered as records of daily production and all of that, that the federal government may not actually be getting, or maybe calling Nigerians are not getting what these companies actually extract because there are no records. There are no equipments like we've got to know that in Saudi every drop of oil is accounted for. What do you have to say about this?
Yes, in other countries of the world, there are facilities to ensure that every drop of whatever comes out of, their soil is accounted for and properly accounted for that matter. But here in Nigeria, there's what we call the Nigerian syndrome, the Nigerian
Nigerian
factor.
factor.
Probably the government doesn't care about that, and they just concession, these the multinational companies, and they go in probably without even in any supervising agency, checking, finding out what actually they are doing. They just concession it and forget about it. So we now end up being, we just accept the figure that is given to us. In fact, let me shock you. If you want to know the volume of petroleum resources that comes out of the soil of Nigeria, whether it is onshore or offshore, you cannot get it in any record in any federal establishment in Nigeria. But if you go to any port in America, or even in UK, or wherever these petroleum resources are being exported to, they have accurate record, because they will know a vessel, the capacity of a vessel, they know it. Once it comes, how many times has it come in a month? So they can tell you exactly what they took out of the soil of Nigeria. But I bet you, Nigerian government does not know exactly. In fact, it does not even have a knowledge close to what is being taken. So we just take hook, line, and sinker, whatever the concessionaire now tell us.
So it is possible that actually the corruption in the oil sector, if the federal government wants to recover funds from stolen crude using the countries we've spoken about, and being that the records are properly kept, let's believe so, it's very possible to track how much has been stolen of our commonwealth.
Of course, it is possible. And that is why most of these international NGOs and some data processing, data preservation companies could come up with figures that are more authentic than what we have down here, because they have a way of tracking it.
Okay.
But we here, we just don't care. I mean, that's the way I look at it, because it doesn't cost that much to make sure. In Saudi Arabia, every drop of oil that comes out, whether it is onshore or offshore, is being recorded. And they can tell you at any moment, yesterday, this is what was drilled. Yesterday, this is what was sold. Yesterday, this is what, the proceeds that we had. But I doubt if such figures are in Nigeria.
We have this challenge thrown to the federal government, presently under the leadership of His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that given the kind of reforms he's embarking on or trying to embark upon in the oil sector and other sectors of the economy, we as a country must be able to track how much oil is drilled daily and what is available, what comes back as revenue to the government, and what is being looted or stolen by whatever means and by whoever involved. That challenge has been thrown. Now, we Open Forum has been on a series. We call it Stock Taking and Agenda Setting for an Akwa Ibom Without Oil, because Akwa Ibom State presently is 86.29% dependent on derivation, money from the oil sector, which every other state goes to Abuja monthly to get their share. But then, in Akwa Ibom State, we've hosted you on Open Forum with the MKO on radio, and you reeled out certain facts that may even sound strange to people who are even in government. And that is to the effect that Akwa Ibom State has a solid mineral roadmap or master plan or a document that showcases where whatever solid mineral is available. I want to confirm that and then speak to it. What are these, and how can they be used to generate revenue for the state government as we speak?
Yes. I will put it this way, that there is hardly any state in Nigeria that cannot boast of one form of solid mineral or the other. And I zero it down to Akwa Ibom State. Akwa Ibom State was initially thought to be a solid mineral deficient state. But all that changed in 2020. In fact, from 2018, In the ranking, in the solid mineral ranking of states in the federation, Akwa Ibom State was number 31 out of the 36 states of the federation. But we all know right from the beginning that there are some solid mineral that has been mined in the state for centuries. And I think because of that, the governor, the then governor, Udom Emmanuel, commissioned a high powerful committee to look into the issue of solid minerals in Akwa Ibom State that has been traditionally known for oil and gas only. Now, this committee was constituted in 2018, and the head of that committee was former commissioner for science and technology, who himself is a geologist. In fact, he's a mineralogist, a professor of sedimentology. So he was a square peg in a square hole.
And what is his name?
Professor Nsesian.
Okay.
So he together with the late Obong Basi Inwayen, who then was the chairman of Miremco. Miremco is Mineral Resources and Environmental Management Committee. It's a federal government committee that has presence in all the states that has solid minerals. You know, so the duo of Professor Nsesian and Obong Basi Inwayen put together a technical team, you know, yours faithfully was part of it, that traversed the length and breadth of this state.
So what were the minerals that you were able to discover and in commercial quantity?
Now, the focus of this committee was to do an extensive geological exploration of the state to be able to find out what minerals we have in what quantity and which locations were there. And it was successful. After 2 years of extensive field exploration, a report came that we have 5 very important solid minerals.
And what are these?
We have the kaolin clay, which is almost in about 18 local government areas, very high quality on.
What are those used for?
I can mention the Ikorekwere, Ikorebomitam clay. Okay. Clay is basically used for ceramics products, you know, and it has uses all across. It could be used for construction. It could be used for production of maybe paper, chalk, and the rest of the things like the household.
And you have it in commercial quantity?
Have them in commercial quantities now, almost about 18 local government area in Akwa Ibom State. Okay. So we have the kaolin clay, we have the bentonite, we have the ball clay, or different sort of clays, you know. And then we have the silica glass sand. This is very, very strategic. We have silica glass and the highest quality. It would have down to glass for cups and household items, maybe. Yes, spectacles. It could be refined to produce microscopic lenses. You know, it could also be used to produce fiber optics for communication. You know, so these silica glass sand are all over the place where we have the sand beaches in Akwa Ibom State, like the whole expanse of Ibno Beach. We have it in Ikorobasi. Yeah, we have it in Bo Unyenge. We have it in this place, Ibaka. You know, high quality sand, silica glass.
Interesting.
You know, so these are in abundance. In fact, wherever you have the seabeds, you know, where the Imo River enters Akwa Ibom and drains down to the Atlantic, it's all over, you know, in good commercial quantity. And these are the kind of thing that is much sought after in other states of the Federation and even outside the country.
Is there any other
yes, we have.
I want to talk about before we get to.
Yeah, those are 2 I've mentioned: the kaolin clay and the silica glass sand. Then we have the limestone. We have limestone at the upper part of Akwa Ibom State, that is in the local government area. Okay. That particular place that looks like a point in the map of Akwa Ibom State. Yeah, we have one of the highest quality of limestone that meets the standard of Portland cement. You know, it could also be used for production of so many things, paste, you know, and some lime and some maybe some saturated lime products.
Very interesting. Let's do this. Akwa Ibom State government during the last administration, I don't know when people are going to watch this anywhere in the world, but the Udom Emmanuel administration came up with the industrialization agenda, which some have read meanings to the development that came up thereafter, that some of the industries have not been able to survive even within the lifespan of the administration. But the excuse has been that, oh, the uh, foreign exchange differentials have not allowed some of these industries to thrive because they were dependent on imported raw materials. Now we have these sort of raw materials that can provide between 70 to 80% materials for some industries. What would be your recommendation to the Akwa Ibom State government now under the administration of Pastor Umar Baseno, PhD, that we can have industries established that will make use of these uh, solid minerals that are in commercial quantities without having too much excuses on foreign exchange to bring in raw materials? I want you to address that so that we can see how the local investors and the government can come together, which will help improve the IGR of Akwa Ibom State.
Now, with the geoscientific data on the mineral resources available in Akwa Ibom State that has been documented, what is now I believe that the government has done more than 50% of what it's supposed to do, because the exploration alone was a very big venture. That has been done. We have the documents. We know what is where, at least so far discovered. Something with solid mineral, it has to be discovered. So as I'm speaking, so we could have gold somewhere, we could have diamond somewhere, but if it is not discovered, it means it is not there. You don't know it. So now these ones that have been discovered, it is now left for the citizens or the investors, people to have entrepreneurial mind. Just, get interested in what solid mineral is there and what it could be done. But when we talk about investment, there is tendency for most of us to sit down and say, oh, foreign investors will come up. I want to tell Akwa Ibom people, foreign investors may not come. We have been waiting for foreign investors for donkey years. They may not come again. In fact, they may not come if the conditions are not conducive. But having said that, I know that there are indigenes, there are citizens, there are settlers in Akwa Ibom State who have enough financial capacity to go into exploration of this solid mineral. It is not rocket science, and it's not all that capital intensive. So let our youths, let our businessmen, let our politicians have that entrepreneurial mind. Let them begin to question now these things that we have. If you have any question, come to people like us who are consulting. These things that we have, what can we do with it? Where are they? We will guide them on what to do. Talk about industrialization. Government plays a big role on industrialization, but I believe that government has done a lot. Infrastructure has been opened, this exploration has been done, documentation, we know what it is. So let entrepreneurs, let investors, let indigenous people pick up from there. It is not only hotels that any big man you see, they will come and build hotel,
or filling
10
station.
billion hotel or filling station. Well, there is money in hospitality, there is money in transportation, but I tell you, there is more money in solid minerals.
Talking about more money in solid minerals, somebody has said that the ceramics sector of the economy is about 50 billion dollars, and it's been controlled by the Chinese, who bring in most of the ceramics wares and all that tiles and the rest. Now, I want to ask this: how much do you think the solid mineral sector is worth in, for instance, Akwa Ibom State?
MKO, that is a tall order. That's a big question. We are so rich in solid minerals. They are inexhaustible. Let me tell you, the clay deposit in Ikorobomitam could be mined in commercial quantity for 100 years. So you can quantify that in the ore form. So it is not easy for one to say, look, all I know is the market for ceramics in Nigeria is over 50 billion naira every month. And 80-90% of that is being imported from China. So we work here in order to keep companies afloat in China, whereas we have the resources. And let me shock you, most of the raw material that is being used to produce those things that they bring to us is from here. And that is the root cause of illegal mining.
You take maybe the last topic. Yes. we are still on OpenO, and I just want to take maybe the last question to our guest, Engineer Pius Ebong, one of the foremost solid mineral experts and consultants that we have in Akwa Ibom State. And you had talked about the survey that was conducted across the state. And you know that the state is made up of local governments, and the present administration or the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had initiated the local government autonomy, which is a whole system by itself. We are not going into that. But what matters to us is that local governments are to be more relevant in terms of development and revenue generation. Now, what role can the council chairman and the local government administrators play a collaborative role with the state government to ensure that these local government areas that have mineral resources could synergize with the state in order to actualize their exploitation?
Yeah, thank you. The state government conducted an extensive field geological survey for the purpose of determining the type of solid minerals, the quantity, and their location in the state. And that's led to the production of this document that is in my hand, Solid Mineral Resources Evaluation in Akwa Ibom State, Investor's Guide. Now, this is a compendium of geoscientific database.
Can you just turn it and let our
Yes.
camera person capture it closely?
This document shows in a nutshell what is where in terms of solid mineral, okay, in Akwa Ibom State. It even goes to analyze the characteristics, and we call it in geology the characterization of these minerals, which shows what they could be used for, and the rest properties like that. So now, these solid minerals are in different local government areas, as you are saying.
Yeah.
So it is now left for the chairman of local government areas, who are the executive heads of this local government area, with the autonomy that is being given to them. It is now for them to begin to look inward to find out what is in their locality that could be exploited for the benefit of the people. And for this to happen, there has to be a collaboration between the local government, chairman, council, the state government, and the constituents. Now, I understand that
Maybe you should also add the federal government, because their licensing comes from the federal government.
yes, federal government will have a part to play in it, quite all right. I understand that Akwa Ibom State government is planning town hall meetings, 10 town hall meetings in the 10 federal constituencies of Akwa Ibom State. You know, so this is a good opportunity for the chairmen that make up these federal constituencies to come together to find out what is there in their own constituencies, you know, what is there in their own localities. And we are in position to present to them this fact. So now, when they get hold of this information, they will now be able to present to the government when this tour begins, that look, we have so minerals here. This is what we want to do with them. So we will work together with them to come up with the business plan. And our focus will be to make sure that industries are being cited in all these local government areas or federal constituencies, or we will render any kind of help, you know, in our profession to make sure that this thing is done appropriately.
An amazing advocacy, and we want to believe that in line with even the advocacy of Open Forum, which we have encouraged the Akwa Ibom State government to set up what we call senatorial district development authorities, where local governments in various senatorial districts could come together to partner with the state government in order to harness their resources in order to exploit and explore and exploit whatever potentials that they have. This initiative by Engineer Pius Ebong will be a master stroke, and Open Forum endorses this very initiative. So if you're a council chairman, you will find our phone number on the screen. You can reach out to us. We will link you up to this consultant who is very handy to give you what level of expertise or what do you call it now in consultancy, to be able to make a presentation that His Excellency Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Moino, will find that yes, definitely the council chairman this time around have a lot to offer. So we want to look forward to hearing from you as you make use of that phone number to reach out to us or those that know him, because on this very program we are about state and nation building. After now, local government areas in Akwa Ibom State will not be depending on federal allocations to implement people-oriented projects in their council. Open Forum with Citizen MKO. Today we decided to have this good time with a solid mineral expert, Engineer Pius Ebong, and he has said quite a great deal. Akwa Ibom State is one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria, and we are blessed with very homely, hospitable people, with government that is focused. As much as we in the civil society and in the NGOs, we are trying to generate ideas, because Open Forum is an ideas bank for development and nation building, while we also serve as the voice for the voiceless and justice accelerators for the oppressed. We want to challenge you out there. Come to Akwa Ibom and invest in the solid mineral sector. And in our next edition, we shall take on another issue that will be worth the while. I want to take a parting shot from our guest, and then we'll call it an edition. Your parting shot.
Well, there is wealth in solid minerals. I want to advise everybody, every business person, to begin to think about investing in solid minerals. It may take time, but everything is in place. The raw materials are there. The financial resources could be, sorted out with correct, connections.
And the enabling environment?
The enabling environment is there. The human resources is what we call in Ibibio Baraswene. The technical ones, they could easily be trained. Investment in solid mineral is not rocket science. It is doable. So let us leave aside the revenue that probably we have been enjoying on oil and gas, which is even dwindling, and begin to face some things like solid mineral.
Ideas when it comes to Open Forum is Baraswene. And that is it on this edition. I remain yours truly, Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor, productivity advocate, reformer, founder and president of Open Forum. I'm just a citizen, but with extraordinary drive of patriotism. See you in our next edition.